Are we done? Can I proceed now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So we have done this now. So I've showed you how to add a new procedure. Now, in this procedure now, each procedure has its own assertion. And that's what I was asking you before. There's addressing. I've added this procedure. What's the assertion for this procedure now that we've added? What assertion will it address? So what I can do here is this. I right click on this cell and then click on what? Assertions. Now, in this case, I can say this affects completeness and existence. And I click OK. And that's how you create your procedure. Now, the next thing I want to do, I want to show you is how do you sort procedures? How do you sort procedures? How do you sort procedure? You sort your procedure, but again, you right click. Right click and you then click on what? Sort procedure. What will Caseware do? Caseware will then open up all the procedures for you. That might be look small like this. So what you need to do is to expand it up, okay, and down. So what I want to do is I want to sort the procedure I just created. Yeah, I want to be the first one. Okay, the one I just created, I just click here and make it the first one, so I can move up and move down, which is similar to what we did earlier in the financial assessment. And I click sort. Okay, so when I sort procedure, what then happens is this observational become the first procedure under this grouping. But take note of something. I've sorted this procedure here, but this procedure cannot move here. So you can only sort within the appropriate group. If I've created a procedure within substantive procedural basic, I can now sort procedure from substantive procedural basic and sort it into extended. Also, I can also sort procedure from extended into what? Analytical. All together. So this is how you customize the work program. You can add, you can delete, you can sort, you can modify, and the likes. Okay. Now, if in your own view now, as a manager, you then notice that you've looked at the entire procedure, this entire procedure will address the entire risk, the risk that you have identified. You can then say, you can then score up based on the procedural judgment, the procedure outlined above sufficient to address the assessed risk. And then come here and say yes. All together. Once I'm done with this, I go back to the FSA and then go and sign off. I go and sign off on what? These assessments completed. I go back to the FSA and go and sign off on this assessment completed. Okay, I come here and sign off on selected as this assessment completed. Why do you need to sign off on this assessment completed? I'll tell you. If I hover on this sign off now, it will tell you this assessment completed, optimizer will not run in the reference document again. So after you have signed off, Caseware will not try to change anything in the document again if you have signed off. So Caseware will not try to remove or delete or add anything to the document again because you have signed off. Now, let's now assume after you have signed off, you then come back and say, no, you're not doing this, or you have changed your risk assessment now. This is what? Let's assume this is significant. Look at what will happen. Caseware have flagged it up and I mentioned to you that the risk assessment modified after completion, remove the initial to optimize the reference document. So in your work program, Caseware also will then notify you that this was a tick mark before. To then notify you that the risk assessment for this financial statement area was modified after completion. The optimizer will not run in the document again. Are we together? Now, let's also assume that after I've done this, look at this, I want to show another warning sign. And now tell Caseware that I don't want to do, let's say, procedure, so start procedure B. Of course, it also flags this up. But apart from this sign that you then have, I want to show you something on the work program. Caseware will not change anything here, but look at this. You now have a yellow triangle, which is just the opposite of the red circle with an X. One of the yellow triangles says the work program has procedure which might not be needed. So Caseware will not delete on its own, but the yellow triangle just notify you that it might not be needed. If you want to delete, you can then click on it and go and delete it by yourself, which is delete procedure. Are we together? So I cancel this now. I go back to my FSA. I say I still want to maintain this flared. And this guy that is flagging up here, how do I then resolve this? If I don't want Caseware to change something again, I'm fine with it. You then have two options now. If you click on the drop down, and I'll tell you, do you want to retain initial? That yes, you want to accept the change that I've made, but you don't want Caseware to change something in the reference document again, or you clear the initial, you allow Caseware to change the work program, the content of the work program, and then sign off again. But in this case, I just want to say retain initial. I don't want Caseware to change something in the reference document again. At that point, I go back to my work program. Caseware will not change anything. You've signed off on this document. Caseware will not change anything. We'll sign off on this reference document and the likes. But Caseware will not change the content of your work program again, but your team members can still go ahead and go and delete or modify or change what you have done. Are we together? So how do we then ensure that we protect our intellectual property as a firm, as a team lead or the manager, that your team member does not go ahead and just change and modify certain things? So what you can then do is you come here and then click on what? Lock procedure. So procedure customization unlocked. I can click on the padlock and lock it. Now, please read through this. You have lock all procedure customization, lock existing procedure customization, and tell me the procedure, the one you will pick.
We are going to lock existing procedure customizations.
So why do you say lock existing procedure customization? So tell me what you mean, what you understand by the two. The first one. Tell me what you understand by the second one.
Lock up procedure customization. There could be that's general. There could be there could be future customization, more customization to be done but the existing one that has already been done can be locked. But for the future ones, so that that will not be affected. If there will be any need in the future for further customization, so that we don't lock everything, but the existing the one we have already done, the procedure we have already customized is the one we are locking now.
Okay, so that, are you explaining this? You are explaining the second one.
The second one, the lock existing procedure.
Okay, that's fine. What about this one?
That we don't want anyone to restrict users, others, from making any modification to the content of the document.
You are reading it. Are you reading
So we
it?
don't want any user to make further modification.
Okay, so that's fine. So thank you for that. So what this means is, the first one says is, as you mentioned, you don't want any of your team members to go and change anything in the content of the work program. So that means what they will just do is one-way traffic, they respond to the procedures and they move. They can modify the procedure, they can delete, they can add their own. They can even add additional procedure. But lock existing means that they cannot modify what was there before. They cannot delete what was there before. But if they want to add their own, they can add their own. If there's a new, if there's a new reason or a new event that will want them to add new procedures, they can then go and add new procedures. And they will have access to modify and delete their own procedure. So I also agree to lock existing procedure. I personally wish I lock existing procedure, so that you also give your team members the opportunity to also think out of the box to do certain things that they want to do. Okay, so then ask you, how do you want to lock it? You can lock with a simple password. You can use or you just use your initial or your normal password login details, and you lock that. Good. So with that, I'm done with risk response execution. Quickly, I want to talk about risk response. I'm done with risk response planning, rather. I want to talk about risk response execution now. And I'm already here already. What I'm talking about, the work program I'm talking about, you're already here. What we're dealing with is 43010. And the same principle I'm going to use here, the same principle I then believe that you use for the children equity and liability, because they're still all procedures and also other these guys here. Good. So let's move on. So now that I've logged this, I can now hand over this work program to my team members, for my team members to then go and respond to it. So I'm switching cap now. I'm switching cap now. Switching cap now, you can then give your team members to go and respond to this, your team members or your associate to go and respond to this. Then how do you then respond to this? And that's the next thing I want to give you. But let's